Bitcoin SV, a direct competitor to the original Bitcoin that has the chance, small chance, but has a chance to overtake Bitcoin, recently went up in the last 24 hours, 40 to 50%. What does this mean for Bitcoin holders, right? What is Bitcoin SV in the first place, and how we can use these opportunities to actually make free money? I'm going to talk about that in this video. Keep watching. What's going on, everybody? Alex back with another cryptocurrency video, and today I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin SV. What is Bitcoin SV? How does it relate to Bitcoin Cash as well as the original Bitcoin? It went up, it's 6-7% today, but yesterday it was up like 35 to 40%, right? You can see right here, this huge jump. Again, this has the potential to overtake the original Bitcoin. So if anybody on my cryptocurrency channel, and I talk about Bitcoin a lot, has Bitcoin holdings, this is a must-watch video for you, okay? You have to watch it, okay? And towards the end of this video, I'm going to talk about specifically how you can make free Bitcoin and these types of opportunities and forks. I'm going to talk about that. But before we get started, guys, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, my name is Alex. I talk about everything internet entrepreneurial. I talk about, marketing, YouTube, as well as cryptocurrency. If you're looking to make money, this is definitely the channel for you. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, as well as the push notification bell, so you can get videos like this all the time. Who knows? It can make you some money, but this is not financial advice. And also, I'm not trying to showboat. You don't see any Lamborghinis in the background. Yeah, I got a green screen, but no fakeness over here. Just real information, practical advice that you can apply to your life like today. So I'm gonna jump into specifically what Bitcoin SV is. And you can't talk about Bitcoin SV without talking about the original Bitcoins, okay? The original Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, right? So it's gonna be very detailed, guys. Sit back, relax, get some coffee, get some water, whatever. Take notes if you have to, because I'm gonna be diving into some technicals here. I'm gonna be getting very specific on what goes on in, Bitcoin, for example, transactions, right? So the first thing when looking into this is you have to understand I guess you could say the argument of block sizes, right? So there's basically, if we look at the original Bitcoin here, okay, this is the original Bitcoin white paper, right? And if you haven't read this, please read it. What are you doing? Please read it. But the original Bitcoin white paper, as you can see the title here, it says it specifically, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, okay? Bitcoin currently is not, I guess you could say looked at as an electronic cash system. It's just not. Right? It's more of like a median of exchange, okay? Why? Because it's very expensive to send Bitcoin across the blockchain. If you were to go buy like some food or some coffee with Bitcoin, it would probably be more expensive in transaction fees than the actual item itself. So right now, Bitcoin, right? The original Bitcoin is being held as, a median of exchange, okay? I'm explaining. There's a big argument, big drama between the people that were originally involved with Bitcoin in this block size argument. But let me explain a median of exchange if you don't know what that is. A median of exchange is an intermediary instrument or system used to facilitate the sale, purchase, or trade of goods between parties. For a system to function as a median of exchange, it must represent a standard of value, okay? Bitcoin is currently the standard of value. If you wanted to buy an altcoin like Ethereum, XRP, chances are, and this is not 100%, but for like the 10 years cryptocurrency's been along, most people have to buy Bitcoin first. Buy Bitcoin, and then once you buy Bitcoin, you exchange it for other altcoins. That's basically what an immediate exchange is. Now, originally Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator, put the block size to 1 megabyte. What is a block? What is a block size? Please research blockchain technology if you don't understand this. If it's a little bit too much for you, go research what blockchain technology is. But this is basically a really bad diagram of, kind of what's happening on the blockchain. So currently, Bitcoin has a 1 megabyte block size. What that basically means is that it limits a certain amount of transactions to be sent per second. Okay, very small right now. It doesn't even compare to any of the transactions of credit card companies or anything like that. It's very small. I don't know the exact numbers. But obviously, it's not fast enough. For a fact, I'm not talking about any articles or anything. This is from personal experience. When Bitcoin hit 20,000, it was booming and it got very popular. these block sizes were too small and transactions got bogged down, right? People were fighting to get in the block. So how it basically works is, say you want to send some Bitcoin. There's all these different people around the world that are sending Bitcoin back and forth. Well, you have to compete to get it within, this block size. So one way of competing is increasing the amount you spend per transaction. So you could literally spend more and it'll quicken how fast your Bitcoin gets sent. Okay. So back in the day in 2017, when Bitcoin was booming, and everybody's going crazy over it, I sent some Bitcoin. I did not, increase how much I spent for the transaction. I tried to keep it as small as possible. And it took like 3 to 4 days for my Bitcoin to actually, go to the other wallet, right? For me to receive my Bitcoin in my other wallet, it took if you want to sell Bitcoin, if you have a lot of money in Bitcoin, that's a major red flag, right? So right now, currently, it is not a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. If you have to, send, this I guess you can say business some money for buying coffee and it takes 3 to 4 days, how do they ever know they're going to get their Bitcoin? Okay. It's not a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And that's why a lot of people, okay, two figures, more importantly, because they have to do with these alternate Bitcoins, Roger Ver, okay, Roger Ver right here, early promoter of Bitcoin, and Craig Wright, okay? Craig Wright was like one of these guys involved with the creation of Bitcoin, okay? Now, these guys have been going at it for, years. I'm not going to dive into the drama that they have, but they were directly involved in creating Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. Now you understand the block size, okay? So there's this big argument, right? There's this huge argument of people that want to increase this block size so that you can have more transactions per second, so it could be more like, I guess you could say, what Satoshi Nakamoto wanted. Now, keep in mind, Satoshi Nakamoto put the 1 megabyte block size. He originally put that, and he kind of like cemented it, but he never said if he wanted to increase it or keep it the same. So it's kind of up to interpretation, and that's where you get this argument. So nobody knows, should we increase the block size, right? Should it be a median exchange, or should, it actually be a peer-to-peer, electronic cash system? So that's the big argument, right? Should you increase the block size or not? Now, keep in mind, it's a give and take thing. It's obviously, the easiest thing to do is just, oh yeah, just increase it. But then there's a lot of problems with that, right? So if you increase the block size, one problem is security issues, okay? It's more susceptible to hacks. We don't know if that actually works, right? What's been working for the past 10 years is the 1 megabyte. Do we know if anything else works? We don't know. And people have a lot of money in cryptocurrency. And then another problem, okay? As a miner, if you increase the block size, if I don't have a certain amount of power, okay, I can't mine the blocks, okay? If the block sizes are bigger, it's a much harder for small miners to receive rewards on the Bitcoin blockchain, okay? So what does this mean? This means that it's more centralized. That means that these huge, monopolies, these monopoly miners that have all the hash power in the world are gonna win even more because the block size increased, because they're the only ones that can mine it. Hard to explain, but this is true with increasing the block size. So a lot of people are like, no, we want to keep it more decentralized. We want to keep it more of a median exchange. Let's keep the block limit to 1 megabyte. Let's adopt things like SegWit, the Lightning Network. That's another video, but basically it kind of keeps it at 1 megabyte, but it gives it more capability to take more transactions. And a lot of different ways of trying to solve this problem, but nobody wanted to obviously increase the block size. Now, all right, some people did, okay, like I said, Roger Ver, Craig Wright, they originally did something called a fork, okay? And this is how you make money. Now, what is a fork, okay? A fork is like an update, okay? So if you guys have a phone, an application on your phone, a company, let's say, for example, Instagram, right? Instagram wants to update certain features on its app. Well, obviously they have to ask for your permission on the actual phone, which most of you accept anyways, but they don't have to go into anybody else to implement it, okay? They don't have to go anywhere. They just literally input the code, send it off to everyone that owns Instagram, and then you accept if you want to upgrade it or not, right? They don't have to ask anybody. But Bitcoin, being that it's not a centralized entity, not one person owns Bitcoin, a lot of people have to agree. They have to come to a consensus to upgrade Bitcoin, okay? To upgrade Bitcoin, a lot of people have to agree. And when forks happen, a fork in the road, right? It's when not 100% of the people agree, okay? So what does this mean? Okay, so let's say Bitcoin's gonna be upgraded, right? Not everybody agrees. it splits. It's called a fork. So they copy the blockchain, and then one blockchain is the original, right? And another blockchain is basically the upgraded version of the original, okay? And there's 3 indicators to which becomes the new Bitcoin. So that's what basically happened with Bitcoin Cash. So as you can see here, Bitcoin Cash worth $266, and this is all relevant to Bitcoin SV. You have to know what happened to Bitcoin Cash to know what Bitcoin SV is, okay? Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin were fighting to see who's the original Bitcoin, who's going to capture all this market cap right here. And there's 3 determining factors when looking into this. What determines what's gonna win, right? Who's gonna win? Who's gonna be the dominant Bitcoin? Okay. The first determining factor is the miners. Okay. The miners uphold the infrastructure of the whole entire blockchain, so they can pick which ones they want to mine. Do they want to mine the Bitcoin, or do they want to mine Bitcoin Cash? Right. The second is the actual exchanges. The exchanges that get fiat currency into cryptocurrency. Why? Because they pick which algorithm, right? Which one has the original BTC ticker? Okay, if you don't know what a ticker is, it's basically BTC. So right here, this BTC is the ticker. Currently, Bitcoin Cash does not have the BTC ticker. So if I click here, it does not have the BTC ticker. So technically, an exchange can say, oh, this algorithm here is capturing most of the value. They're getting most of the market cap. Let's turn the BCH into BTC. That is now the new Bitcoin that everybody will see and everybody will want to buy. And then there's a third and most important indicator to see who wins the fork, right? And that's the people, okay? The people get to choose. And what do I mean by that? And this is also the money-making opportunity that I'm talking about. So when they have this fork, okay, it's a big commotion, everybody goes crazy. Sometimes the price of Bitcoin increases because of this reason. And it's all experience-based. I'm not just talking about articles here, guys. A lot of people on the internet talking about articles, something they read. This is all experience, okay? So when Bitcoin was having its fork and it split, okay? And with Bitcoin Cash, you get basically rewarded. I don't know if you want to call it rewarded or not, but they give you free Bitcoin Cash. So let's say you're holding 1 Bitcoin. You will literally see in your wallet 1 Bitcoin Cash for free. They just give it to you, right? And then as a person, you get to decide, do you want to sell the Bitcoin Cash, or do you want to sell the Bitcoin, or do you just want to hold both? But that's the choice that the people have to decide, because everybody that holds Bitcoin gets rewarded a free Bitcoin Cash. So what's going to capture all of the USD, the market value, okay? And in this case here, in this battle, and Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash, obviously, the original 1 megabyte block size won. Most people dumped the Bitcoin Cash. Most people dumped, including myself. I sold it at like $400 or something like that. Dumped the Bitcoin Cash and kept the original Bitcoin. That's how people choose. That's why I say it's the most powerful determining factor, because miners can switch, all they want. People, the exchanges, they change the tickers, but they change it by after, the market cap. They can't just change it now and everybody's going to automatically go to the original Bitcoin or the Bitcoin Cash or whatever the case may be. So the people ultimately, in my opinion, have the biggest say in what goes on in these forks. Okay, so how is this all relevant to Bitcoin SV? Well, when they split originally, Bitcoin Cash had 8 megabyte block sizes. So basically they increased it a little bit. They multiplied it by 8, right? And it's 8 megabytes. Then further along the road, they decided to do another, increase it a little bit more to 32 megabytes. So Bitcoin Cash is currently at 32 megabytes. Now, Roger Ver, okay, the big advocate for Bitcoin Cash, right? He was an early promoter of regular Bitcoin. I guess he said he wanted it as a peer-to-peer transaction. He hated the fact that it had a limiting, 1 megabyte block size. So he's like, you know what, let's make Bitcoin Cash, right? Let's make Bitcoin Cash, increase it, and let's try to compete with Bitcoin, okay? This guy, as well as Craig Wright, both were on the Bitcoin Cash train until Craig Wright decided that 32 megabytes was just not enough. We need to increase it so much so that it can encourage other entrepreneurs to create businesses on Bitcoin SV, okay? So as you can see here, Bitcoin SV was another split, okay, from Bitcoin Cash. So Bitcoin Cash was, out and about, and then they split again. Okay, Craig Wright was one of the catalysts to help it split, and it went from 32 megabytes to 128. So Bitcoin SV is currently the highest megabyte, block sizes. And they claim that in the future, they're actually going to increase it to infinite block sizes, which I don't even understand what that means. I don't even understand if it's, secure or not. That's the whole give and take thing. It's all a give and take thing. The more you increase the block size, there's problems that are going to arise because we've never seen it before ever. We're used to 1 megabyte. That's been what's been working for the past 10 years. If it's not broken, don't, try to fix it, right? And, they're for the, the entrepreneur train. So, I'm not mad at it. I'm glad that there's projects out there that are experimenting. So basically, Bitcoin SV, it's very cheap for a business to start on that blockchain, and it's very extremely fast transaction speeds. Extremely, the 128 megabytes not even being filled. So you guys remember, this diagram here, not this one, this diagram right here. Imagine 128. It's going to be massive. And they're not even being filled with the amount of transactions that, they can't be filled. So if you send something on Bitcoin SV, it's going to be almost instant, very cheap for businesses to create things, right? So that's the route they're going. They kind of just want to let's a whole bunch of businesses just be created on Bitcoin SV until it breaks, and then we'll fix it. And, just kind of head first, just go crazy. And then the Bitcoin Cash trying to take a balanced approach. And then obviously the original Bitcoin 1 megabyte block size, et cetera, et cetera. So these guys are at war, Roger Ver and Craig Wright. So what does this have to do with Bitcoin SV? Well, Bitcoin SV, that's what Bitcoin SV is. It's basically the original Bitcoin with humongous block sizes, to promote all of these, entrepreneurial companies, these people that want to come in and create something on the blockchain. That's what it's for, okay? Is it better than the original Bitcoin? It depends on your perspective. Being that I hold a lot of Bitcoin, personally, I hold the same amount of each Bitcoin just in case one overtakes the other, right? So I have, I'm not going to tell you how much Bitcoin I have, but let's say I have 1 Bitcoin. I would have 1 Bitcoin SV and 1 Bitcoin Cash, okay? So that's basically the overall gist of what Bitcoin Cash is and Bitcoin SV, okay? Now, there's a whole bunch of details, but what's currently happening, that's what's currently happening. That's what's going on. So why did Bitcoin SV just recently jump 40 to 50% in 2 days, right? It's been going crazy. Well, now we're going to get even a little bit more technical. So there's basically something called the Tulip Trust, right? When Satoshi Nakamoto first created Bitcoin, he mined a whole bunch himself. He mined actually specifically 1.1 million Bitcoins, okay? And he put it into a trust. A trust is basically like a locked up vault. He locked them away. And then basically in the future, you can get access to this trust. So Craig Wright, and this is very controversial, I personally don't believe it. Craig Wright claims to be Satoshi Nakamoto. He was involved with the creation of it, and he claims, he has all this proof, all this weird proof, right, that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. A lot of it was supposedly quote unquote forged, okay? There's easier ways he could have, took to actually prove that he is the real Satoshi Nakamoto, and he took the hard ways for some reason. The creator of Ethereum pointed that out. It was like, there's 2 ways you can prove you're Satoshi Nakamoto. 1, get a verified signature, or 2, do all this extra stuff. And he did all the extra stuff. Nobody knows why, right? So it looks like it's a little bit shady the way he's trying to prove it. But supposedly, he is quote unquote Satoshi Nakamoto, if you want to believe that. And he is in court. He's basically in court trying to access this trust, right? Because 1.1 million 1.1 million Bitcoins were mined by Satoshi Nakamoto. It's worth $8.7 billion. So he's trying to get access to this encrypted private, it's basically a document with a whole bunch of private keys that are encrypted, right? Right here, containing, keys to the 1.1 million Bitcoins. Wright claims he locked away, whatever. And basically he's in court trying to access it. And the reason why Bitcoin SV just recently jumped, because obviously, like I told you guys before, Craig Wright is promoting Bitcoin SV. And he just, in court, dropped 428 documents proving that the Tulip Trust is his. So we don't know what the documents entail. We don't know if it's more forgery, or we don't know if it's, actual real evidence. But that's the catalyst behind Bitcoin SV recently jumping. It recently went crazy. That's the catalyst, right? The fact that he dropped these documents, and if he actually gained access to these Bitcoin, if he actually got the 1.1, he has a lot of money to invest in Bitcoin SV, and 2, it would give more proof that he's actually the true Satoshi Nakamoto, and SV stands for Satoshi's Vision. That's actually Satoshi's vision, right? To have unlimited block sizes, to promote entrepreneur, tendencies and people creating businesses on the blockchain, making very cheap, fast transactions. And he was right all along. So people are taking that gamble. Personally, again, like I said, I have one peg to each, the same amount of Bitcoin across the board, just in case one wins or one doesn't, and I believe that's the most balanced approach you can have. Even it's not bad, because look, Bitcoin's worth $8,000, that's expensive, but Bitcoin SV is only 158, 267, an extra $400, and you're safe, right? You're safe with cryptocurrency. But that's my perspective. That's what Bitcoin SV is. Again, let me just reiterate it. The original Bitcoin split into Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin. The original Bitcoin won, obviously, and then Bitcoin Cash had problems, and then they split into Bitcoin SV. Bitcoin SV is an unlimited or high block size blockchain. Bitcoin Cash is taking a more balanced approach. But that's it for this video, guys. If you like the quality of this content, hit like. I tried to be as simple. It's really hard to explain this stuff, so I try to keep it as simple as possible. If you don't like the quality of this content, leave some constructive criticism below. Subscribe for more video updates. And like I always say, if you don't get with this technology, you will get left behind. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Catch you in the next one.